Okay, so we're on lesson number 185 of a workbook of A Course in Miracles, and this is one of, I would say, the more unequivocal lessons in the entire workbook, and in fact, it's making statements that are unequivocating and help actually with the reversal of temporal order within your own mind and righting our misunderstanding wherein which we've mistaken effect for cause. And this is giving us back, in a sense, the ability to not see the problem and solution as separate, and helping us restore the power of our own mind. I mean, basically what it says, lesson 185, I want the peace of God. I want the peace of God. You have to become, now, when the Course says any unequivocal, and it's this would be a good time if there was unlimited time to talk about prayer and why prayer works, but many times when you pray you don't feel that it works. It's because when you pray you can't ask for answers that verify the problem as being real. You can only ask for a totality, a solution that arises from a totality of the problem being solved, which can't recognize the problem as being real. So there's a section in the Course where Jesus talks about how things need to be worded, how he talks to Helen about the importance of the manner by which the questions that you ask are constructed in order to get the answer that, in effect, gives you the truth and helps you in the same way. I mean, it allows the answer to dawn upon you, because when you ask for something within the duality of the egoic mind, the Holy Spirit, or that which is beyond our true self, can't answer the question because it cannot validate the illusion of duality. So your mind, in order to begin to allow contact to occur, must become unified in its true relationship with reality, and that requires unequivocation. And that's what this is asking us to do. I want the peace of God. To say these words is nothing, but to mean these words is everything. If you could but mean them for just an instant, there would be no further sorrow possible for you in any form, in any place or time. Okay, what this is actually saying, and it's going to go on to get clearer later on in the lesson, is that you can say that you want the peace of God, but until you mean it wholeheartedly and with your whole mind, without any equivocation, and most importantly, and this is what I feel, and this is a little bit more difficult to express, not for the purpose of getting something that is not yours already. I think that's the key. The peace of God is yours already. It's just been hidden under everything else that we've manufactured that is of the world, thinking that those things are going to give us the peace that we're looking for, or the answer that we're seeking, and they don't. So, of course, in this lesson, it must deal with the idea that, to say that you want the peace of God and really mean it is to recognize that there's no longer anything in the world that you want, because there's nothing in the world that could possibly give you the answer that you're seeking, because nothing has, up until this point in time, given you that type of answer. And when this is now, I can look at this two ways, in a sense, with the same outcome, and I think one is more helpful as we're developing the ability to learn to communicate with that which is within us, the Holy Spirit, and reality. So when this says, if you could but mean them for just an instant, there would be no further sorrow possible for you in any form, in any time and in any place. Okay, heaven would be completely given back to full awareness, memory of God entirely restored, the resurrection of all creation fully recognized. Now, that is what occurs to you in the instant that you fully desire the peace of God and receive it. And it's interesting, one of the things that I found out in my own experience is that until our mind has gotten to the spot where it can truly ask and truly receive the peace of God, the laws of the kingdom remain in unawareness, and we can't use them even if we knew them, because we still would be using them within the egoic framework of attempting to get something, rather than in the recognition that the utilization of the laws allows us to be as God created us, even here within space and time. And that's what needs to be eliminated. The ego is a getting mechanism. It's designed to keep us in the posture of thinking that there are things that we can get, and when we do get them, they will make us happy. When we utilize the Holy Spirit through forgiveness, we find out that when we ask truly, we receive what we already have been given, and the way in which to maintain the understanding or the flow of communication which allows us to continue to receive, let's say in this lesson, the peace of God. We must be willing to give it in a way in which we're asked to anyone who is given to us to give, simply because we've discovered that there is no other solution, and it's all anyone would want if they knew that they wanted it at all, which is the condition that we find ourselves in when we start on this type of journey. We don't really know what we've been going through lessons of those. We don't really know what the hell we need. We don't know what we want. We're split-minded. We're never even in agreement with ourselves. We can't not equivocate, trying to justify our thinking, which ranges from suspicious to vicious. So here we're being offered the unequivocation of our own whole mind to give us back what we've always had, so that we can recognize it was never lost, nor were we, and begin to recognize that even in the dream of space and time, we don't have to lose contact or communication, which allows us to know ourselves as whole and perfect, and therefore beyond the laws of space and time, in the condition of being that is not affected by what is unreal in any regard. No one can mean these words and not be healed. He cannot play with dreams, nor think he himself is a dream. He cannot make a hell and think it real. He wants the peace of God, and it is given him. He cannot make a hell and think it real. That does not mean he cannot make a hell. It means that he has made a hell and no longer thinks that that hell is real. Because the peace of God is total in your experience, and it frees you, as it says in that instant, no further sorrow is possible. So when you're in the experience of the peace of God, there is no further sorrow possible, because there's nothing outside of the peace of God. There's nothing outside of God's love, which means there is only love, there is only that peace, so there is nothing to disturb that peace, because there's nothing in contradiction to it. That's what the dream offers us, is contradiction to our own thinking, so we never understand the totality of the reality of a true thing, because we're too busy equivocating in our mind and basing what we would like it to be on what we both think it can be and what we think it cannot be, rendering both what it can be and what it cannot be as untrue. Because reality is whole and perfect, and your mind is capable of thinking and seeing that way too. And when you begin to see that way, when the vision that you're given begins to see that way, you begin to express that, not necessarily with words, but with the extension of your own love and the finding of your own reality and the certainty that your brother is real along with you in spite of whatever seems to be going on in the world. Two minds, and this is where I'd like you to join me. Two minds with one intent become so strong that what they will becomes the will of God. For minds can only join in truth. In dreams, no two can share the same intent. To each, the hero of the dream is different. The outcome wanted not the same for both. Loser and gainer merely shift about in changing patterns as the ratio of gain to loss and loss to gain takes on different aspects of or another form. So, if there's anything that this lesson is offering to us right now, beyond any commentary I would ever make, is the ability for you and I to look at each other in the eye and declare that we want the peace of God. And much like Helen and Bill, when they said there must be a better way, and they agreed to find it. Two minds, this is what it says, two minds of women come in one intent, become so strong, what they will becomes the will of God. For we're joining in truth. We're asking for that which is already given us beyond any illusion, and we're asking for it because finally we no longer want illusion. And my invitation to you would be, here I am, let us join in that. Let us only want the peace of God in this moment. Join our minds together where they've already been joined and whole and perfect through our own creation, and declare, make an agreement, not a truce or a compromise. That's what this lesson. Peace can be no compromise. Let's not settle for any compromise. Let's just ask for now the peace of God, join in a single intent, and see what happens as we join and begin to fulfill the purpose that these lessons are here to give us, to help us remember. This is our way home. This is how we come to understand who we are fully, even in this distant sort of land where the grace of God isn't operating completely. We can begin to allow the grace of God to operate within us and join in the peace of God and begin to offer that to all of our brothers. Like, I don't know if any of them, the book, Kurt Vonnegut's book, Substance, called Ice 9. And the generals developed this thing called Ice 9. And it was this crystal, and the minute that it touched anything liquid, water, it would just immediately begin to freeze it. And they thought it was a great idea to work on battlefields, so all of a sudden they realized the ramifications of the use of Ice 9, in that everything, the whole world, because everything basically has water in it, would freeze and come to an end as they know it. But there was no way to get rid of the crystal, so they broke it up and each carried a bit of it around their neck. Two of us coming together here and now, or the three of us, or 10 of us, or whoever it is, and asking from the wholeness of our own mind and heart that we want to join with each other in declaring that I want the peace of God. It's like Ice 9 for the world of space and time, and it guarantees that as this spreads between us and begins to emanate, that it cannot not become God's will for all of us here and within this condition of consciousness that we have dreamt up in order to attempt to prove the power of our mind through the use of denial and negation, rather than through the creative use that God gave it to us for. No compromise alone, yet compromise alone a dream can bring. That's what I'm saying. All dreaming is a compromise. Sometimes it takes the form of union, but only the form. Meaning, must escape from the dream. The compromise is the goal of the dream. Of course it is. Minds cannot unite in dreams. They merely bargain. And you can't make a bargain with the Lord. You can bargain with the devil, I suppose. I don't know why you would want to, but you can't. Salvation is no compromise. Salvation can be seen as a release from concepts, of all concepts, including the concepts that we use to help us understand what salvation is. Because salvation is beyond the ability of us ever needing to be saved. Is the recognition that we've always been whole and perfect. That's why the wording of prayers and how we think in our mind becomes important in order to get the answer from the voice that we want the answer from, rather than the continuing chatter of the ego, which never ever seems to solve any problem at all. To mean you want the peace of God is to renounce all dreams. Okay, are you ready to renounce all dreams? You're going to take another look around inside of them to see if there's anything you want. All dreams are the same. So all dream substance, and never any of them have ever given you more than you wanted, more than for a single instant. And in fact, it has only increased the desire of your addiction to continue to find it here within the world of space and time. Many of you already know that and just simply give up, abject surrender, not to get anything, just because you can no longer do what it is you've been doing. That's what this has asked you to get to. Now, the peace of God sounds like this celestial thing, but all it's saying is the peace of God is the answer to all your problems, and you're entitled to it, quite simply because you are created by it to be it. Let us devote our practicing today to recognizing that we really mean the words we say. Just look around. Don't spiritualize or intellectualize the life and the world you see. Why would you not want the peace of God? And in the understanding of what the peace of God brings even conceptually, why would you not also want to bless your brother with the ability to find it by your own finding of it and your offering of it to him as well? There's a paragraph at the end I wanted to get to because it seems important. No one can lose and everyone must gain whenever any gift of God has been requested and received by anyone. God gives but to unite. To take away is meaningless to him. Of course it's meaningless. There's nothing to take away. He gives everything freely. There can't be anything missing in God if God is always everything. That's really that simple. But if your mind is thinking everything is bits and pieces of stuff and there's a God and then there's what he's created as not God, you're still in the condition where separation is making sense. And it is validating the world of separation in very sort of obtuse manners, which keeps you stuck and hung up within the grievances that can't be forgiven until there's a recognition that this world is not real. And you can't lose something if all of it's unreal. The takeaway is meaningless to him, and when it is as meaningless to you, you can be sure you share one will with him. There you go. And again, you could say the words, but until the experiences begin to augment the words that you're saying, unconsciously you still have desires for the world of space and time. And that's why this lesson is a great turnaround lesson, because it's saying you're getting exactly what it is you're thinking. And if you don't think that's so, then you're in denial of your own thinking. And you will also know you share one will with all your brothers whose intent is yours. Of course it's yours. We're created by the same creative reality. We're all imbued with the same spirit of creation, which is one. And we're all souls as aspects of that creation, given to extend the creation as we know it when we recognize we are both one with it and are its communication of itself to extend itself. It is this one intent we seek today, uniting our desire with the need of every heart, the call of every mind, the hope that lies beyond despair, the love attack would hide, the brother that hate has sought to sever, but which still remains as God created it. With help like this beside us, can we fail today as we request the peace of God be given us? And I want you to join me. This is a serious offer from Jesus to me, to you, back to Jesus, to complete the circle of atonement and to discover that we were never not part of the kingdom. Because once we accept the peace of God, we have accepted the totality of our reality without the ability for there to be an intrusion by anything other than what is real, whole, and perfect. Now, how could I want... It's Independence Day. This is a good day to declare your freedom. Freedom from your need to relate to illusions and be an illusion to yourself, or have your brother be an illusion to you any longer. So happy 4th of July. I want the peace of God, and I want you to want the peace of God along with me.